All right, let's talk about Italy, but maybe not the Italy you think you know. Today, we're going to peel back the layers, go way beyond the postcard view of the Colosseum and canals, and dig into the complex, sometimes contradictory, and always fascinating reality of Italy today. So, when I say Italy, what pops into your head? Seriously, for a lot of us, it's probably the same few things, right? A leaning tower, a beautiful plate of pasta, maybe a Renaissance masterpiece. Go ahead and hold on to that image, because we're about to complicate it a lot.
And look, don't get me wrong, that classic image, it's real for a reason. You've got this incredible ancient history literally everywhere you turn. It's a country where every stone seems to tell a story and tradition feels, well, timeless. This is the monumental Italy we all recognize.
But what if that same country was also pioneering how to make breathable air on the moon? Yeah, from moon dust. Or that the best bread in the entire nation is being baked by a guy who used to work on the railroad. That's the other Italy. And that's where our story really gets interesting. Okay, so first up, Heritage Reimagined. How Italy is making its past new again. I mean, think about it. When your history is that epic, how do you keep it from just feeling like a giant, dusty museum? Well, turns out they're getting pretty creative. Check this out. They have this thing called Art Nouveau Week. They call it Stile Liberty. And this is not some stuffy architectural tour. We're talking 70 cities, over 100 different curated routes. They even open up private villas and landmarks that are usually totally closed to the public. It makes history something you can actually touch and experience. And the theme for 2025? The butterfly. It's just perfect, right? A symbol of total transformation. And this idea of reimagining heritage, it's happening with food too, through something called DOP Tourism. You might have seen DOP on a block of cheese or a bottle of wine. It basically means this is the real deal from this exact place. So, they've built this whole travel model around it. Instead of just hitting the big cities, you can follow these food trails right to the source, meet the producers, and see how it's all made. It's a brilliant way to get you off the beaten path and into the real heart of the country. And it is really taking off. If you look at where this is booming, it's places like Veneto, Tuscany, and Emilia-Romagna. And why there? Well, they're just incredibly organized. They have these groups that have turned their famous local products, think prosciutto di Parma or real balsamic vinegar, into these huge draws for visitors. It's a fantastic example of how local food traditions can become a serious economic engine. All right, Section 2. Get ready for a jump. We're talking innovation, earth and sky. From award-winning bread to mining the moon. This is where you really see the wild range of Italian ingenuity. It's something else. So let's start on Earth. You'd think the best bread in Italy would come from, a family of bakers going back centuries. Nope. This year's award went to Antonio, a former railroad worker, and Michela, who has a degree in political science. They just fell in love with sourdough, taught themselves everything, and completely changed their lives. It just goes to show you, real innovation can come from anywhere. And they gave their bakery the perfect name, Frangipane, which means break bread. And here's what they said. For us, bread represents the dividing line between our past and our new path. It's so much more than a name, isn't it? It's their entire story baked into a loaf of bread, a story of transformation, of community. Okay, deep breath. Because while Antonio and Michela are perfecting sourdough down in Sicily, other Italian innovators are looking up, way, way up. This is a real mission called Oracle, and the goal is mind-blowing. Figure out how to pull oxygen out of moon dust. Here's the gist. You take the lunar soil, you heat it up to a blistering 1100 degrees Celsius, and a chemical reaction produces water vapor. Once you have water, you can split it into hydrogen and, the crucial part, breathable oxygen. This is the kind of engineering that could actually make living on the moon possible, and it's happening in Italy. So clearly, Italy is not short on brilliant people, from bakers to rocket scientists. Which brings us to our next section and a really tough paradox for the country, a nation's human capital. Italy is amazing at producing brilliant minds, but not so great at keeping them. Let's look at med school. For 25 years, if you wanted to be a doctor in Italy, your future came down to one single high-stakes test. But with a severe doctor shortage looming, they've made a radical move. As of 2025, no more test. Instead, it's an open filter semester. Basically, anyone can enroll, but you have to pass those tough first semester courses to continue. It's a huge gamble aimed at opening the doors to more future doctors.
And again, the talent is absolutely there. Just look at this number, 37. That's how many of Europe's most prestigious science grants Italian researchers won in 2025 alone. That's more than larger economies like France. It proves that on the world stage, Italian minds are at the very top. But the question is, where do they go?
And here's the catch. It's a big one. Look at this chart. Of those 37 grant winners, 12 of them, nearly a third, packed their bags. They took their grant money and their brilliant research projects and moved to other countries. This is what people mean when they talk about brain drain. Italy's investing in creating these incredible minds and then watching them leave.
Which leads to a really tough question, doesn't it? Why is one of Italy's most valuable exports its own people? The reasons are complicated: bureaucracy, better opportunities elsewhere, but the impact on the country's future is just massive.
So, faced with all these challenges and opportunities, it brings us to our last section, the search for balance. It feels like Italians are trying to figure out what la dolce vita, the good life, really means in the 21st century. And it's not just about economic success.
A recent quality of life study showed something fascinating. You've got the big players, right? Milan is a powerhouse for jobs and innovation, but it's incredibly expensive. Rome has a strong sense of community, but struggles with public services. But then look at a mid-sized city like Bologna. It's hitting that sweet spot, an ideal balance between work and life. It suggests the modern good life might be found not in the biggest cities, but in the most livable ones.
So when you put it all together, from reimagining its glorious past to literally reaching for the stars, from transformative bread to a national brain drain, you see a nation in motion. And it all seems to boil down to this one final question. As Italy charts its course, can it build a modern home that's compelling enough to both cherish its heritage and hold on to the brilliant talent it needs to shape its future?